Well, welcome in this morning for dual meet swimming, the Washington State Cougars against the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks. Trevor Williams with you here along with our Washington State Athletics crew. And so glad you could join us this morning. The Cougars coming off a victory a night ago against Denver in a dual meet, the first of the year for Washington State. And for Northern Arizona, they fell on the road in a very close meet with Idaho. We've got the 200-yard medley relay to get you started. 50 yards for each swimmer. Off the blocks here in lane 2 for Washington State, Anna Rockholtz, Kathleen Richter in lane 3 for NAU. Jade Castro lane 4 for Washington State, Gracie Monk lane 5 for NAU. Kaylin Bluford lane 6 for WSU, NAU. Summer Ferguson lane 7. Lanes are 1 through 8 from the bottom to the top of your screen. Times there for you on the right side with splits. Both teams in tech suits today. Washington State out in front. It's lane 4 for the Cougars. Their A relay, Emily Lundgren, the 3-time All-American, leading Washington State out front. Cougars look to have the edge in second in lane 2, potentially lane 7, for third. For the Cougars out of lane 4, Addie Lewis leading Washington State into the fly. Freestyle still to round it out. In lane 2 for the Cougars, it is Clara Anderson. NAU has got third in lane 5 with Isabel Krecht. Catherine Jide looking to take it home for WSU. Washington State looking to take the top 2 spots in this relay. As Catherine Jide touching first. Minute 39:62 for the A relay. Cougars in second as well, 1:42.89 for the B, and NAU's A relay, minute 44:28. So the Cougar relay of Jade Castro, Emily Lundgren, Addie Lewis, and Catherine Jide taking first. Yeah, that's how we get it started this morning at Gibb Pool in Pullman. Washington State taking 2 of the top 3. We will have our longest race of the day up next. 1,000-yard freestyle here from Gibb Pool. Washington State yesterday had Avery Buckley win it 10 minutes, 12 seconds, 47 hundredths. Buckley will have the day off for the Cougars this morning. So this race will have 4 Washington State swimmers and 1 from Northern Arizona. Cougars will have Hannah Warte in lane 3, Tatum Janning in lane 4, Theodore Sabev in lane 5 for Northern Arizona, Lauren Willie in lane 6, and Vivian Nett in lane 7. Lane 6 and 7, both Washington State there as well. Cougars taking 2 of the top 3 in the 200-yard medley relay. WSU A relay with the winning time, minute 39 62 hundredths. Tech suits today, as we mentioned. Out of the medley relay there, Washington State just off a school record. And that was a Gibb Pool record at a minute 39 62 hundredths for the Cougars. Minute 39:13, the record back in 2016. So the Cougars, who picked up a couple Gibb pool records in their victory over Denver a night ago, get one in the first race of the day today, the 200-yard medley relay. Also coming up in the first session before the break here this morning, after this 1,000-yard freestyle, you've got a 200-yard free, a 100-yard butterfly, and a 50-yard freestyle. And we will see those three events have second heats during a 15-minute break before we get into the second portion of the day. And for those, you'll see the 100 free, 500 free, the 100 back, and the 100-yard breaststroke. Then we'll have second heats during the 10-minute break of the 100 free, 100 back, 100 breaststroke. We'll wrap it up today with the 200-yard individual medley and the 400-yard freestyle relay. Washington State out in front to start it this morning. Let's jump off the blocks here to open up the 1,000. Is from Lauren Willie out in lane 6 for Washington State. Trevor Williams with you today, along with our Washington State athletics crew. Cougars coming off a tremendous season last year. Washington State Cougars had tremendous season, as we mentioned. 8-0 mark in dual meets last season, tied the program record for wins with 8. And the first undefeated season in program history behind the 1991-92 team that went 5-0-1 at Gibb Pool. We got 40 lengths in this race. About to hit the first 5, and it is Lauren Willie with the lead out in lane 6, followed closely by her Washington State peers Tatum Janning and Hannah Warte, lanes 4 and 3. Tatum Janning for the Cougars is a sophomore out of Southlake, Texas. Was all Mountain West Conference in the 1650 free. 5 individual wins a season ago. And she leads out there in lane 6. That is 8 lengths through this 40-length race. Pardon me, that was lane 4 for Tatum Janning. She's in second. Out in lane 6, Lauren Willie for Washington State, senior. It was also all-conference in the mile for Washington State. Quarter of the way through this race. A couple individual wins last year in the 500 free and the 1650 free. Does own a WSU top 10 time in this event. 9:59 and 86 hundredths for Lauren Willie. That is 4th all-time at Washington State. Willie, the senior and native of Oswego, Illinois. Then Hannah Warte, who is in lane 3 for the Cougars. Warte currently in 3rd. Junior out of Sammamish, Washington. All Mountain West Conference in the mile last year. Couple of individual wins, 500 free against Idaho and the 1,000 free against Idaho. 14 lengths through now. Still Lauren Willie, followed by Tatum Janning and Hannah Warte. Then it's Vivian Nett and Theodora Sabev. Net for the Cougars in fourth is a freshman from Hungary. Once won the 7,500 meter freestyle, the National Swimming Pool Long Distance Championship. They're in high school in Hungary. Still Lauren Willie out in front for Washington State. Getting closer to the halfway point of this race. 2 more lengths to get there. Theodore Sabev goes by Teddy for NAU. And Sabev in lane 5, a sophomore from Peoria, Arizona. Once broke a record at Horizon High School in the 400-meter freestyle relay. And was second in the state of Arizona twice. We're halfway through. Lauren Willie has the lead. Willie trying to best her teammate Avery Bulkley's time of 10 minutes, 12 seconds, and 47 hundredths a night ago against Denver. Willie still followed by Tatum Janning in lane 4, then Hannah Warte in lane 3, Vivian Nett in lane 7, and Teddy Sabev in lane 5. A little over halfway through. Longest race of the day here for these distance swimmers. Washington State last night against Denver won 12 of 14 events at Gibb Pool. They were led by Emily Lundgren with 3 victories. Lauren Willie is 26 lengths through the 40. Things tightening up a little bit with Tatum Janning, who had a nice split there to cut into Willie's lead. Vivian Nett's moved into 3rd. Hannah Warte in 4th. Teddy Sabev, the only swimmer for NAU in this, in 5th. Cougar record in this event is Aaron McLeave back in 2007, 9 minutes, 47 seconds, and 19 hundredths. Right now, Tatum Janning trying to cut into Lauren Willie's lead. Next touch here will be 3/4 of the way through the 1,000-yard freestyle. On pace for a finish just over 10 minutes right now for Lauren Willie. Tatum Janning, Vivian Nett, Hannah Warte, and Teddy Sabev the rest of the way behind Lauren Willie. Willie's got 4 laps remaining with the lead out in lane 6. Willie for Washington State, the senior out of Oswego, Illinois. One of 6 seniors on the Washington State roster. And Willie keeping about a body's length lead on Tatum Janning. 3 laps remaining. Maybe a little bit of open water for Lauren Willie. Vivian Nett's done a nice job moving into third, staying there for Washington State. Hannah Warte in fourth, and Teddy Sebev in fifth. Two laps left. It's been Lauren Willie wire to wire for Washington State in the 1,000-yard freestyle so far. Still, it's Tatum Janning starting to close in. Has been able to cut open water out of the lead for Lauren Willie. This will be the final lap. We'll see if Tatum Janning has enough to overtake her Washington State teammates. Janning trying to turn it on now. It's Net, Warte, Sebev the rest of the way behind Willie and Janning. Lauren Willie trying to go wire to wire for the victory in the 1,000-yard freestyle. Janning, one last effort at the end. It is Lauren Willie in 10:09:20 for WSU with the victory. Willie never trailed. Did a tremendous job, followed up by Tatum Janning, 10:10:11. Vivian Nett at 10:20:54. Hannah Warte, 10:25:80. And Teddy Sebev for NAU, 10:37:21. The rest of the way there. So the Cougars take all top three spots in the 1,000-yard freestyle. And Washington State out to a big lead to start it this morning at Gibb Pool. So the Cougars took 2 of 3 events to start the day in the 200-yard medley relay. "13 seconds behind a pool record for Washington State's in the 1,000-yard free for Lauren Willie with the victory, 10:09:20. As we mentioned, the school record for WSU, a blistering 9:47:19 from Erin McLeave in 2007. So we move on to the 200-yard freestyle. In lane 2 for Washington State will be Sophie Hay, the freshman from Hamilton, New Zealand. In lane 3 for NAU, Casey Kelleher, sophomore out of Tucson, Arizona. Lane 4 is Avery Bulkley for Washington State. Bulkley is a freshman from Payson, Utah. And you got Evelana Abrams in lane 5 for NAU. Abrams, a sophomore from Estonia. Darcy Revitz in lane 6 for the Cougars. Revitt, after a great freshman season, now a sophomore for the Cougars out of Guildford, England. Abby Miller in lane 7 for NAU. Miller's a freshman from Flagstaff. And Ariel Wang in lane 8 for Washington State. Wang, the junior from Taiwan. 8 lengths here in the 200-yard freestyle. Washington State already a 27-point advantage through the first 2 events. And the lead for the Cougars, Darcy Revitt out in lane 6. Revitt getting to lengthen it out a little bit for Washington State today. Had a sprint victory a night ago for the Cougars against Denver. Right now being followed by Avery Bulkley for the Cougars. And then Ariel Wang is in third. The lead for Revitt, almost half a second. Still Revitt, Bulkley, Wang. Cougars in the top 3. Then it's Kelleher, Abrams, Miller, and Hay. Revitt turning it on for Washington State. 200 freestyle, WSU record, minute 46:14. Kenna Fontaine in 2020. Still Revitt out in front with Bulkley, Wang, Kelleher, Abrams, Hay, Miller. Big open water lead for Darcy Revitt. Not only a win last night against Denver, picks one up for Washington State this morning, minute 47:85. That's just off the Washington State record. It is a Gibb pool record for Darcy Revitt. Angela DiPaolo formerly had it in 2023. Darcy Revitt with the victory for Washington State. And it is Ariel Wang and Avery Bulkley finishing second and third. Cougars sweeping again there. And then you had Evelata Abrams in fourth, Casey Kelleher in fifth, Sophie Hay in sixth, and rounding it out, Abby Miller. Cougars again sweeping the top three and now leading by 40 points. And Darcy Revitt with that Gibb pool record time in the 200 free. $100-yard fly up next this morning. NAU will have Summer Ferguson in lane 1. Ferguson's a freshman from Austin, Texas. Michael Morabito in lane 2 for Washington State. Morabito's a freshman out of Prosper, Texas. Beezer Gear in lane 3 for Northern Arizona, freshman out of Phoenix. Isabel Parrish has lane 4 for WSU, sophomore from Moses Lake, Washington. Elsa Musselman in lane 5. Musselman for NAU's a senior out of San Antonio. Emily Lundgren, three-time All-American for WSU in lane 6. Lundgren is a native of Chula Vista, California, now in her senior season for WSU. Isabel Crashed is in lane 7 for Northern Arizona, a sophomore from Frisco, Texas. And Melhika Yalcin in lane 8 for Washington State. Yalcin is from Turkey, the junior for the Cougars. WSU's now swept the last 2 events. Four lengths here in the 100 fly. As you would expect, Emily Lundgren with the lead out in lane 6. Lundgren's just had an extremely decorated career for Washington State. 3 wins a night ago against Denver. Leads the Cougars in 6, followed by Parrish, Musselman, and Crashed. Musselman for NAU getting into the top 3. It's Emily Lundgren with open water. 1 length remaining. Washington State looking to win another event. Cougars trying to start with wins in the first 4 today. Emily Lundgren, open water on the field in lane 6. And Lundgren in 53 and 1300ths, followed by Isabel Parrish. And then Isabel Crashed for Northern Arizona. Lundgren at 53 seconds, 1300ths. .53 and 1300ths. Beats former teammate Dori Hatazi's Gibb pool record. And for Lundgren, it is also right up there in the Washington State school record books. Cougars now up 62-11. Washington State has won each of the first 4 events today. Now, final event before we get into some second heats as part of our 15-minute break this morning, this first session, It is the 50-yard freestyle up next. Quick sprint here. Charlize dances in lane 1 for Northern Arizona. Dance, a junior from Auckland, New Zealand. Addie Lewis in lane 2 for WSU, junior out of Missoula, Montana. Katarina Klatt is in lane 3 for the Lumberjacks, sophomore from Carson City, Nevada. Catherine Jide in lane 4 for the Cougars. Jide for WSU is a senior from Wenatchee, Washington. And you got Kokona Watanabe in lane 5, sophomore from Honolulu, Hawaii. Barbara Milesite for Washington State in lane 6. Milesite is a freshman from Lithuania. Cameron Brown in lane 7 for NAU. Brown, the freshman from Lithia, Florida. And then Skylar Bergach for Washington State in lane 8. The senior from Aurora, Colorado. Quick sprint here, 50 free. Tight pack. It may be lane 6 with the slide advantage. Barbara Milesite, 6th fastest WSU time in this event. 22 and 75 tonight to go against Denver. Milesite's got the lead out in lane 6. Being challenged, the Cougars in lane 2, Addie Lewis, who finishes 2nd. Milesite at 22 and 53 hundredths. Betters her time from a day ago, gets the win for Washington State. That's followed by Lewis and then Bergach. The Cougars again sweeping the top 3. And you had Watanabe, Jide, Brown, Klatt, and Dance. .50 free time of 22 and 53 hundredths. It's still 0.4 of a second behind WSU record holder Chloe Larson. Should be a Gibb pool record for the Cougars. Well, right there, yep, Gibb pool record for Washington State from Barbara Milesite. Beats the time of Chloe Larson of 22 and 59 hundredths back in 2021. The Cougars now lead 78-14, having taken all the first 5 events. We do have second heats coming in the 200-yard free, the 100-yard fly, and the 50 free. These will all be swam by Washington State swimmers only. This is part of a 15-minute break between sessions here this morning. Cougars already a couple Gibb pool records, and they've won all 5 events. The big lead over NAU this morning. In the 200-yard freestyle, 8-length race here, we'll have Lorelei Killoran for Washington State in lane 2. Killoran, a sophomore from Tacoma. Cecilia Renlund for the Cougars in lane 3. Renlund is a freshman from Finland. And Sawyer Yana, sophomore out of Tigard, Oregon, in lane 4. Lead for the Cougars is in lane 3 on these first 2 lengths. Is Cecilia Renlund. Renlund out of Turku, Finland. Followed by Sawyer Yana and Lorelei Killoran. We'll see them complete the first half of this race, first 100 yards, and some open water for Cecilia Renlund. Renlund out of Finland for the Cougars, one of 7 freshmen this year, trying to win back-to-back home dual meets on their first weekend. And we are 3/4 of the way through. Renlund still in the lead for WSU. Cecilia Renlund, followed by Sawyer Yana, and then Lorelei Killoran. These are the second heats in the 200-yard free, the 100 fly, and 50 free. And then we'll break briefly before we come back with the 100-yard freestyle. Cecilia Renloon for Washington State touches first, minute 53:36. Here in the second heat, Sawyer Yana at a minute 57 and 63 hundredths for the Cougars. And closing it out for Washington State will be Lorelei Killoran for WSU. And Killoran touches at 2:14.63. "100-yard butterfly" up next. Anna Rockholtz in lane 2, Clara Anderson in lane 3, Jade Castro in lane 4. Rockholtz, a senior from Portland, Oregon. Anderson, a senior from Moscow, Idaho. And Castro is a junior from State College, Pennsylvania. WSU leading at the first break. Cougars have won each of the first 5 events. And Washington State has swept 3 of the 5. Here in the first half of the 100 fly. Very tight pack here between these 3 swimmers. Slight lead for Anna Rockholtz in lane 2. It's going in lane order right now. Clara Anderson actually just overtook it right at that touch at the wall at the halfway point. Anderson followed by Rockholtz, then Castro. Castro's up top in lane 4. Anderson's fallen just behind in lane 3. Good recovery for Anna Rockholtz in lane 2. And Rockholtz will be the first to touch for Washington State at 56 and 8 hundredths. Clara Anderson 57 and 13, and Jade Castro 57.7. Anna Rockholtz the winner there in heat 2. And then we also have a second heat in the 50-yard freestyle. Caitlin Bluford for WSU in lane 2. Victoria Palika lane 3 for WSU. Bluford's a junior from Mesa, Arizona. And Victoria Palika, a sophomore from Poland. Bluford bottom of your screen, and Palika top of your screen. 50 free, quick down and back. Bluford out of lane 2, leads slightly. Nice turn by Palika, stays underwater there for a good bit. Bluford able to stay out in front, close touch. And it is Bluford just ahead of Palika by about a quarter of a second, 23.84 to 24.1 for Bluford and Palika. That is heat 2 of the 50-yard freestyle, and that'll take us to a break this morning in Pullman. Washington State is leading here in this dual meet over Northern Arizona. We'll come right back. Second session for you this morning, 100-yard free, 500-yard free. And then we'll continue with the 100 back and the 100 breast before our second break of the morning. Washington State ahead of Northern Arizona. Dual meet swimming today on YouTube from Washington State Athletics. All right, we are getting ready to go with the 100-yard freestyle this morning. Second set of races here, 100 free, 500 free, 100 back, 100 breast. So here in the 100-yard freestyle, Skylar Burgach for Washington State in lane 2. Isabel Kresh from Northern Arizona in lane 3. Barbara Milesite in lane 4 for WSU. Elsa Musselman lane 5 for NAU. Isabel Parrish lane 6 for WSU. And then it's Cameron Brown lane 7 for Northern Arizona. Cecilia Renlund in lane 8 for Washington State. 4 lengths. Darcy Revitt, the winner for WSU last night, 48.87 hundredths. Lane 4, the lead for WSU, Barbara Milesite. Trying to have a great day right now for the Cougars. Milesite already with a victory earlier in the 50-yard free, 22.53. That was a Gibb pool record. Milesite's been impressive, the freshman out of Lithuania. Milesite has the lead in lane 4, out ahead of Isabel Parrish in lane 6. It'll be Milesite with her second win of the day, followed by Parrish, Burgach. Then Musselman, Crashed, Brown, and Renlund. Cougars take the top 3 once again. Second victory for Barbara Milesite today for Washington State. 50 and 21 hundredths. Cougars will continue to add to their lead. And we've got our second distance event of the day coming up. 500-yard freestyle. Vivian Nett in lane 2 for Washington State. Teddy Sebev, lane 3 for Northern Arizona. Sophie Hay in lane 4 for Washington State, freshman from New Zealand. Evelada Abrams, lane 5 for NAU, and then Cougars in lane 6, 7, and 8 with Avery Bulkley, Tatum Janning, and Hannah Warte. Janning finished second in the 1,000 earlier this morning. And Nett in lane 2 finished third. Washington State swept that event, 10:09.20 for Lauren Willie, who won. So we'll see how Tatum Janning and Vivian Nett can follow up their distance swim from this morning. Cougars lead by 77 points right now. This is event technically number 7. Number 10 in races swam today because we had 3 second heats during the first break. We'll see here at the first touch. It is Avery Bulkley with the lead, 27.64 on the first split. This will be 10 laps or 20 lengths. Bulkley followed by Warte Janning, 2-3. Warte out of lane 8, Janning in lane 7. Looks like a slight change at the turn. It's now Warte followed by Janning and Bulkley, then Hay, Nett, Sebev, and Abrams dead even. This will be the third lap of 10 completed. It is still neck and neck between lanes 6, 7, 8. Avery Bulkley, Tatum Janning, Hannah Warte. This time Tatum Janning takes the lead. Bulkley and Warte now dead even in second for the Cougars. Then you've got Hay, Nett, Sebev, Abrams. Janning, who just took the lead, finished second in the 1,000-yard freestyle earlier this morning. Halfway point. Or pardon me, we'll have halfway point on the next touch. Now Warte gets back in front of Janning, followed by Bulkley. All three, though, very neck and neck. Well-paced, the trio Cougars at the top. That is the halfway point. Warte ahead of Janning, and Hay now has moved in to third for Washington State ahead of Bulkley. Quietly, Sophie Hay down in lane 4 has done a great job of breaking into this leading pack for Washington State. Lauren Willie won this last night, 4:51 and 94 hundredths. 8 lengths remaining in the 500-yard freestyle. Janning and Huarte now dead even, followed by Hay, Bulkley, Net, Sabev, and Abrams. Another lap down. Janning just ahead of Warte. Boy, 1/100th of a second separating them. Then Hay, Bulkley, Net, Sabev, and Abrams. 5 lengths remaining after this touch. Maybe a little more separation now for Janning in lane 7. Just a second ago, 1/100th of a second separating Tatum Janning and Hannah Warte. That was a big split for Janning. Now gets an 18/100ths of a second lead. Hay, Bulkley, Net, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Sabev, Abrams, 6th and 7th. Final lap coming up here. And it's been Tatum Janning in lane 7 opening up a larger lead. Just a few lengths ago was tied with Hannah Warte in 2nd. Sophie Hay in 3rd. Avery Bulkley in 4th. Vivian Net in 5th. Teddy Sabev in 6th. And it's Evelyn Abrams in 7th. Washington State gets another victory. Tatum Janning, 4:59 and 7/100ths. Turned it on down the stretch. Cougars have Hannah Warte, 5:01.11 in 2nd. And Sophie Hay, 5:03.61 in 3rd. Another sweep for the Cougars. Washington State, a pair of sweeps. The second portion of this dual meet today. In events 9 and 10, the 100 free and the 500 free. Tatum Janning gets a victory in the 500 after finishing 2nd in the 1,000 earlier this morning. And Washington State continues to add to its lead. Washington State now leading by 90 points, 110-20. The Cougars have won every event so far today with a few Gibb pool records set. 100-yard backstroke up next. Got Allie Hayes in lane 1 for Northern Arizona, sophomore from Oregon City, Oregon. Victoria Palika in lane 2 for Washington State. Kathleen Richter in lane 3 for NAU. Jade Castro in lane 4 for Washington State. Gracie Monk in lane 5. First individual event for Monk, who's a senior from Phoenix. Anna Rockholtz in lane 6 for Washington State. Rosie Keith in lane 7 for NAU. Sophomore from Oxford, New Hampshire, with her first individual race of the day. And Michael Morabito, lane 8 for Washington State. Four lengths, 100-yard backstroke. Washington State's won every event today. Off the start, Burley Strong in lane 6. Rana Rockholtz for Washington State. Rockholtz won this a night ago, 53 and 0.8 of a second. Rockholtz gonna lead at the halfway point, being pushed hard by Jake Castro out of lane 4 for Washington State. Cougars have third as well after the halfway point with Victoria Palika. Rockholtz, good split to break open. Little bit of distance on Jade Castro in lane 4. And it's Anna Rockholtz, the victory for Washington State, followed by Jade Castro and Victoria Palika. 54 and 31 hundredths for Rockholtz, who gets victories on back-to-back days in this event for Washington State. Castro and Palika with the Cougars sweeping another one today. And all sweeps for Washington State. The top 3 spots since the first break this morning in the 100 fly, 500 free, and now the 100 back. And they've got one more to make it a perfect 4 events in terms of top 3 finishes before the second break of the morning. We'll have second heats in there as well of these races that you just saw, the 100 free, back, and breaststroke. 100-yard breaststroke here. Catherine Gine in lane 2 for WSU. Beezer Gear in lane 3 for Northern Arizona. Lauren Willey in lane 4 for Washington State. Sydney Perkins in lane 5 for Northern Arizona. Darcy Revitt in lane 6 for the Cougars. Lumberjacks Trelise Dance in lane 7. And Ashlyn Hernandez in lane 8 for Washington State. Looking to claim their second wins of the day. It'll be Darcy Revitt and Lauren Willey for Washington State. Willey won in the distance event, the 1,000-yard freestyle. Revitt a victory already in the 200 free. Cougar leader so far is Barbara Milesite, who's got 2 victories in the 50-yard free and the 100-yard free. So 100-yard breaststroke. Four lengths once again. Good start out in lane 6 from Darcy Revitt. Wants her second victory of the day. Sophomore out of England. Revitt had just a tremendous freshman year for WSU. NCAA qualifier in both the 50 and 100 free. She leads at the halfway point for the Cougars over Ashlyn Hernandez of Washington State and Catherine Gide of WSU. Cougars have the top 3 spots in a race once again. The Mountain West Conference champion in the 50 free, 100 free, and 200 medley relay, leading it for Washington State. That's Darcy Revitt, the sophomore out of lane 6. She's nearly got open water on the field. Revitt for Washington State is going to touch first. A minute, 1 second, 92 hundredths. Followed by Northern Arizona's Sydney Perkins. And then in third, Ashlyn Hernandez for Washington State. Darcy Revitt, her second victory of the day, a minute 01 and 92 hundredths. Sydney Perkins does take second there for Northern Arizona. For the Lumberjacks, that's their best individual finish in a race today. Perkins, that time of 1 minute, 3 seconds, and 73 hundredths. Washington State has the big lead through the first 12 events today. We'll have 13, 14, and 15 here as part of the second break of the morning. And these are second heats in the 100-yard free, the 100-yard backstroke, and the 100-yard breaststroke. Again, they will be all swam by Cougar swimmers. Addie Lewis in lane 2, Sawyer Yana in lane 3, and Melhika Yalcin in lane 4 for Washington State in heat 2 of the 100-yard freestyle. Top heat time, 50 and 21 hundredths from Barbara Milesite, her second win of the day. Addie Lewis out in front by a wide margin in lane 2 for Washington State. Then neck and neck Sawyer Yana and Melhika Yalcin. Lewis doing a nice job. They're through the first half of this 100-yard free. Down the stretch here for Addie Lewis. Nice time for her of 51 and 93 hundredths. And then you've got Melhika Yalcin and Sawyer Yana right neck and neck, 54.93 for Yalcin, 55.14 for Yana. WSU has claimed the top spot in every race today. This is the second heat there of the 100-yard freestyle. We've got second heats as well, the 100-yard backstroke, 100-yard breaststroke. For the backstroke, 2 Washington State swimmers, Clara Anderson in lane 2 and Caitlin Bluford in lane 3. So it's Anderson bottom of your screen, Bluford top of your screen. Bluford has the advantage here out of the first 25 yards. Bluford for Washington State, a junior from Mesa, Arizona. Anderson, a senior from nearby Moscow, Idaho. Bluford has the lead through the first half, up in lane 3. Bluford and Anderson also swam in second heats during the first break. Bluford in the 50 free, Anderson in the 100 fly. Nice job by Caitlin Bluford at 57 and 1/100th of a second. Claire Anderson 58 and 64 hundredths of a second. They're in heat 2 for Washington State in the 100-yard backstroke. Brings us to the 100-yard breaststroke second heat. Jenna Kistler for the first time today individually in lane 2. Kistler's a sophomore out of Spokane. You got Mac Rivera in lane 3 for Washington State. Rivera also first individual event. Albuquerque, New Mexico, a freshman. And Lorelei Killeran, second time. She also swam in the second heats earlier, sophomore out of Tacoma. Washington State a 110-point lead in the dual meet, looking to start the season 2-0 in dual meets. Mac Rivera, middle of your screen. Had the lead in the first 25 yards, now being overtaken by Jenna Kistler. Kistler leads at the halfway point by under 1/4 of a second over Rivera and Killeran in third. Lead lengthening a bit for Jenna Kistler in lane 2. 3/4 of the way home. Washington State A win earlier in this event from Darcy Revitt, her second of the day. It'll be Jenna Kistler in Heat 2 to finish first, followed by Mac Rivera, a little over a second between those two swimmers. Then you've got Lorelei Killoran in third there in Heat 2 for Washington State. Cougars with a 110-point lead in this dual meet. Result not in doubt. We've got the 200-yard individual medley when we come back, along with the exciting 400-yard freestyle relay. That's to cap the dual meet this morning. When we return, you're watching Washington State Swimming on YouTube from Washington State Athletics. Final couple events of the day coming up. Washington State looking like they're going to move to 2-0 dual meets this season. Cougars with a win over Denver, 190-72 a night ago. We've got the 200-yard individual medley. So 2 lengths each of the backstroke, followed by the breaststroke, butterfly, and freestyle. In lane 1 for Northern Arizona, Summer Ferguson. Mac Rivera in lane 2 for Washington State. Casey Kelleher, lane 3 for NAU. WSU, Ariel Wang in lane 4. Elsa Musselman has lane 5 for Northern Arizona. Emily Lundgren with a win earlier today in the 100 fly, her 47th of her career in terms of total victories at Washington State, and the 3-time All-American in lane 6. Allie Hayes for NAU in lane 7, and Ashlyn Hernandez of WSU in lane 8. Emily Lundgren won this event last night for the Cougars, 2 minutes a second and 74 hundredths. Emily Lundgren is the Washington State school record holder in this event at 1:58 and 94 hundredths. Lundgren just missed the Gibb pool record time in this event by about a little under half a second last night. So if she can improve on that time, She could have a chance to set that. Summer Stanfield of Utah holds the pool record, 2 minute a second and 34 hundredths. Last two events today. We've got the 400-yard freestyle relay. That'll be coming up to cap things. Washington State a relay win at the start in the 200-yard medley. So Emily Lundgren in lane 6. Out in front for Washington State. She would for sure be the favorite in this race. As we mentioned, just missed a pool record last night. Looking for her second win today. And what would get her closer to 50 career victories in her time at Washington State. She is working through the backstroke here for WSU. Lundgren leading for Washington State. In second for the Cougars, you've got Ariel Wang in lane 4. In third, it is Allie Hayes for Northern Arizona. Emily Lundgren in the third portion of this 200-yard individual medley. Bread and butter for her, the breaststroke. An All-American for Washington State. She has an open water lead on second place in her Cougar teammate Ariel Wang. Now the freestyle to finish it off. That was a 34-second split for Emily Lundgren. Needs 20 seconds down the stretch to set a Gibb pool record. Emily Lundgren's well on the way to her 48th career victory, her second this morning. She's 5 seconds from a Gibb pool record. Lundgren closing in, and Emily Lundgren has that Gibb pool record. 2 minutes, 47 hundredths. Beats her time by over a second and a quarter from a night ago. Second win today for Lundgren, 48th of her career, and she sets another Gibb pool record for Washington State on the weekend. Cougars Ariel Wang in second, and Ashlyn Hernandez in third, as Washington State also logs another sweep in the top 3 finishes. WSU is taken first in every event today. Lundgren, along with Darcy Revitt, has 2 wins today, and the young and exciting Barbara Milesite with 2 wins for the Cougars today as well. Takes us to the 400-yard freestyle relay to conclude things today between the Cougars and the Lumberjacks. There will be 2 relay teams from each side. Northern Arizona, the B relay in lane 3. We'll start with Rosie Keith, then go to Kathleen Richter, Cameron Brown, and Katarina Klatz. Washington State's A in lane 4 with Lauren Willey to open it, Isabel Parrish following, then Barbara Milesite in lane 3 and Darcy Revitt in lane 4. It's a powerful relay there for the Cougars. Evelana Abrams and Northern Arizona. They'll start it in lane 5, followed by Sydney Perkins, Kokono Watanabe, and Gracie Monk. And then Washington State's B relay in lane 6. That will be Michael Morabito, Avery Bulkley, Tatum Janning, and Cecilia Renlund. 100 yards for each swimmer to total the 400 yards in this freestyle relay. Washington State earlier in the meet secured a dual meet victory over Northern Arizona. So the Cougars, after going 8-0 a season ago in dual meets, already off to a 2-0 start this season. And coming up for Washington State, another home meet. That'll be on Friday against Colorado State at 4 o'clock. Here from Gibb Pool in Pullman. You can catch that here on YouTube as well. That'll be it for dual meets in this calendar year. And then Washington State, the second half of the season, has Northern Colorado, Wyoming, and then Idaho on back-to-back days in Pullman and Moscow at the end of January, leading into the Mountain West Conference Championships in February. For Northern Arizona, they are at home on Friday against New Mexico State at 1 o'clock in Flagstaff at the Wall Aquatic Center. They'll have Utah Tech, Colorado State, Arizona, New Mexico the next calendar year, and Utah Tech also in there to close things out before the MPSF Conference Championships in late February. We've seen fast times today, tech suits on for these two teams. A multitude of Gibb Pool records that have fallen. And Washington State, 3 swimmers who have won a pair of events. Darcy Revitt, Barbara Milesite, and Emily Lundgren. We finish it today with the 400-yard freestyle relay. Great start off the blocks. Washington State in lane 4, the A relay for the Cougars. Lauren Willie opening it up. Willie, who had a victory earlier in the 1,000-yard freestyle. Northern Arizona's A in second place. It's led by Evelina Abrams. And we're on to the second legs. Isabel Parrish into the water first ahead of Sydney Perkins. Then it's Kathleen Richter for NAU's B and Avery Bulkley for Washington State's B. WSU open water out in front of Northern Arizona. Cougars won the relay to start it in the medley as well earlier this morning. Isabel Parrish keeping the Cougars out in front. She's got 2 swimmers who have a pair of wins today, and Barbara Milesite and Darcy Revitt behind her. It'll be a big anchor coming for Washington State's. Sydney Perkins has Northern Arizona's A relay in second. Tight battle by the B relays for WSU and NAU, but it looks like Avery Bulkley has overtaken Kathleen Richter. Now Barbara Milesite's in the water for Washington State. Kokona Watanabe for NAU. Cameron Brown and Tatum Janning of the B relays. WSU flying here behind Barbara Milesite for the Cougars. Halfway through her stretch. She's got almost half a pool length lead on Kokona Watanabe in Northern Arizona. Cougars looking to finish it with a bang today. This B relay is separated by about a quarter of a second. Washington State trying to take a win in every event. And Darcy Revitt will be the closer for the Cougars on this Saturday morning. Northern Arizona, their B relay keeping a lead on Washington State. But the Cougars working back. Washington State's A is going to have a great look here into the final 50 yards. Cougar B relay may be moving into third behind Cecilia Renlund. Katarina Klatt battling her there for Northern Arizona. Gracie Monk trying to close on Darcy Revitt, but the lead too big for Washington State. Here come the Cougars down the stretch. in the 400-yard freestyle relay. And Washington State has won every event today against Northern Arizona. Cougars 3:19:38. That is a Gibb pool record as well for the Washington State A relay of Lauren Willie, Isabel Parrish, Barbara Milesite, and Darcy Revitz. Followed by NAU's NAU's A. Washington State's B finishes third, 2 seconds ahead of Northern Arizona's. The Cougars got a tremendous finish from Cecilia Renloon. The Cougars with a handful of Gibb pool records today, including 3:19 and 38/100ths in the 400-yard freestyle relay. And Washington State picks up the dual meet victory in dominating fashion over the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks. A final score of 168-36 for the Cougars, who have a perfect weekend here in Pullman. Victories over Denver and Northern Arizona, and what a great start to the home season for Washington State. Couple wins apiece for Darcy Revit, Barbara Milesite, and Emily Lundgren individually, and then the Cougars cap it with one of their many Gibb pool records today, the 400-yard freestyle relay in 3 minutes, 19 seconds, and 38/100ths. A lot of fun to be with you today here from Gibb Pool in Pullman. For our entire crew, this is Trevor Williams saying so long. Washington State now 2-0 in dual meets on the year. You've been watching Cougars Swimming on YouTube.